Hey guys, it's time to continue with Knock It Out November, and we're getting started with Final Book Support Group too. Stick around. Hey guys, welcome. If you are new, welcome to the Book Path. I'm Nicole, and if this isn't your first time here, thanks for sticking with me. And I'm going to go ahead and apologize for a few things. If you hear any background noise, I think one of my neighbors is trying to mow the lawn, and I think they're mowing over like every stick, rock, and everything in their backyard. So if you do hear that, I'm sorry. It seems pretty quiet, but just in case, I do apologize. Also, if I cough, sneeze, or something, I don't know. My wonderful son brought home his third flu or cold from school this year. It started late last week, and of course I got it too. So we're doing good. Our fevers are done. It's just really pretty much the cough and a little bit of a stuffy nose. So if I sound a little nasally, I'm sorry. But I felt well enough that I could film, so we're gonna go with it. I'm gonna try to edit out however many coughs I do. So if this video ends up seeming a little choppy on your viewer end, I am sorry. I do have a tea, like a fruit herbal tea for my throat that I'll be drinking if I need to, but we're gonna make do. We're gonna go on. The show must go on. So last time I did a review of The Infernal Devices, which was for Knock It Out November's binge series you've already started. So I did a completely separate video for that. I'll post the link below if you want to go ahead and check it out. I really did love that series. So I look forward to continuing that and the Mortal Instruments going onwards. So what did I do after that? So I decided to tackle another goal, and I did the historical fiction. And for the historical fiction pick, I had picked Which Way is Home? Ignore the price sticker. This is a middle grade it could probably go as young as elementary school story about a young girl who has to flee the Communist Party, their rule in Czechoslovakia post World War II. And she's fleeing with her older sister and her mother. And this was, I gave it 3 stars. I felt it was a little on the, it really was on the young side, even though it was a middle grade. It felt really kind of young and innocent, which means I would say it's very safe if you have a young child that you're starting to want to kind of teach history or stories of the past. It has the real elements, kind of a post-war II, what it is to kind of like the insinuated dangers, but there's not enough harm or terrible things that happen to the characters in this that I feel it's a very safe read for a younger audience. But basically what you have is this is post World War II Czechoslovakia. You have the young girl Anna, who's about 10 years old, and it's my understanding that her father acted as a spy to help the English against Germany in World War II, providing England with coordinates for, I think, like storehouses or munitions, basically places of import for Germany during World War II. Her father helped England act against it. So now it's post-World War II, and Russia is kind of in control of Czechoslovakia. And at this time, historically speaking, Russia was led by the Communist Party, and the Communist Party seeks out Anna's father to help work for them, and he doesn't want to do it based on some kind of sordid things that happen for, I think it's her grandfather and the Prime Minister of Czechoslovakia at the time. So her father has actually fled for his life because he knew to turn down the Communist Party at the time, he would lose his life. So he flees. He leaves his wife and his 2 daughters back in Czechoslovakia. They have a farm. And so now comes the moment where Anna needs to flee as well with her sister. Her sister's, I think, 15, and her mother. And she doesn't really know what's happening in the beginning, but she catches on pretty quickly because she is aware of what's going on. She's very mature for a 10-year-old. She knows what's going on politically, for her family, for her country. And it was just very interesting because you have them fleeing Czechoslovakia back into Germany, because at this point, Germany is now, parts of Germany are controlled by Allied forces. So they're trying to escape so that they can get reunited with their father. And they're not the only ones doing this. So it is a very short read. So once again, that sense of like fleeing danger, are they going to get caught? It's very, very quick. There's a lot of like sweetness too, because it comes from the perspective of a 10-year-old child. The interesting thing is that this is actually based on the true story of the author's grandmother. In the end, she has kind of like this afterword that she tells you about the actual people that this book is based off of, and her grandmother is Anna. So it is kind of like the story that her grandmother would tell her children, and then her grandchildren, and then her great-grandchildren, about, of like, this is how you came to be. And she actually uses that in the story. She's like, this is how you came to be. Like, this is how I escaped so that you guys, could exist. And so I think with that in mind, that's also why it's probably more toned down than what it probably could have been. It's more of like I don't want to say fairy tale, but a lot more tame than maybe real events really were, and the dangers that they actually went through. But I will say one of the things I didn't like on it was that it left one thing open. They do meet a young boy. He's like a Boy Scout, basically, but he's a Czechoslovakian Boy Scout. And his name's Honda, somewhere around that line. I'm probably mispronouncing it. But he's very sweet, and there's kind of a little bit of like this young, youthful romance between him and Anna's older sister. And they kind of left it hanging. Like, I don't know if they ever met up with him again. I don't know kind of what happened there. Even if nothing happened there, I would have rather have been told nothing happened there. Oh, we never talked to him again, or anything like that, because they just kind of left it hanging. And I was just kind of like, I want to know. Like I said, I ended up giving it 3 stars. It was just, kind of, it was what it was. I do recommend this for, like I said, if you have a younger audience that you're trying to teach them about certain aspects of world history, especially, World War II, post-World War II, and things like that, without it being too dangerous or too scary. I would recommend it. I don't know if I'm going to hold on to it. I might, donate it to a local school, or, find out something like that, just because I don't think my boys are going to be interested in this. But it was cute. It was very cute, and it, historical fiction. Done. So the next one that I read was one of my prequels. That was one of my other goals, was to finish the prequels that I had ordered back in August. So I ended up reading The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. This is the sequel to Once Upon a Broken Heart. I loved Once Upon a Broken Heart. This one, not as much. Like, it was still good. It still had parts that I really loved. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the kind of wintry, magical world that they kind of go into. Like, you really feel like you're immersed in a fairy tale. The magic kind of comes alive, and I really like that. I do love the character of, I think it's Jax. Yes, Jax, the Prince of Hearts. I do like him. And I like the kind of romance that's going on between him and Evangeline, the main character. It's kind of that on again, off again, what's going on. Because I don't want to give too many spoilers, because this is the second book. But they are trying to basically just survive. There are people out to get them, people trying to stop her from opening this magical arch that either can go, she doesn't know what's going to happen. There's either monster lurking behind it, or there's treasures lurking behind it. And she doesn't know what's lurking behind it, because everybody tells the truth and everybody lies. Kind of like, Labyrinth, one of us always tells the truth and one of us always lies, If you got that, good on you. It was good. Like I said, I really liked it. It was 4 stars for me. Not as good as the first book. Just because there was a little bit of continuation that when you have that kind of push and pull in the relationship, after a while it starts to get on my nerves, or I start finding it a little boring. But I get it for this. And then when it started wrapping up towards the end, it did take a little bit of a turn where you do start to see the truth of feelings, and it's on both ends, on both Evangeline and Jax's end. And then it took like a really weird like cliffhanger spin, and I didn't know what to make of that. I still don't know what to make of that, and I'm curious to see what they're gonna do, because there is a third installment coming out. So yeah, it does leave on a bit of a really weird cliffhanger, because I'm still processing it, I guess. Like, I don't know. I don't know. But it did pick up momentum towards the end. I would say my favorite scenes in this was there's a magical like lodge or inn that's Jax's like family home that they go to, and just the time spent in there, the warmth of it. Like there's food that like magically appears, and it's just it was just like really warm. And there's like a little dragon that joins them, and it's like this little tiny dragon, and just it was cute. It was a really cute like couple of chapters based in that scene. But like I said, I feel like the book, one of the things I really love about it is just the atmosphere and the setting of what she creates for this world. So I will obviously continue with the next one. But yeah, 4 stars. I really, like I said, I do like Jax. I like Jax a lot. There's a lot more vampires in this one. One of the like old gods or whatever they call them is he's basically a vampire, and he kind of lives underground with like a bunch of other vampires, and you get a glimpse of that in the first book, but there's a lot of time spent there in this one. So if you like vampires as well, this is going to be up your alley. So I finished one pre-order. So then piggybacking off of that, I went for another pre-order, and that was The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I have been waiting for this to come out because I own the Inheritance games. I also own the Hawthorne Legacy. I blew through the Inheritance games. I loved it so much that I made up excuses to take one of my kids to the store with me to run errands that conveniently happened to be in the same place where the Hawthorne Legacy was, so I could pick up the second book and continue reading it. Like, that's how good Inheritance Games was. Hawthorne was good. I didn't like it as much as Inheritance Games, but I still did enjoy it. Final Gambit barely made 4 stars. Like, this was a barely 4-star read. I just, at this point, like, if you like Clue, if you like murder mysteries, if you like Knives Out, like the movie Knives Out, Murder on the Orient Express, things like that, things where you have to solve puzzles in order to kind of like solve a crime, then this book is for you. I love that. It's just when you've gone through 2 books of it already, this book just had like puzzle after puzzle after puzzle after puzzle, and I felt like it didn't really explain things too well, or how they came about the things. It's just, oh, we solved it. Oh, we solved it. And this one, to me, wasn't so much of trying to solve the riddles and the puzzles to find out the family history. This is more of a cat and mouse game, because it's not so much in the other books. You have the grandfather who has passed away, and he's leaving the notes and the clues for Avery to find out, to help her understand the family and why she's got the inheritance. This one is really, it's an outside person from the family challenging Avery. And so I'm going to use it because, I mean, you see the chess pieces on here. It's like watching a chess match between 2 people, and they're playing off each other. And then everybody else is kind of like the side character in this. There's a character that comes in, a brand new character that I did not like from the get-go. I didn't like her at all. I also didn't like the direction they went with one of the brothers, who happened to be my favorite brother. I didn't like what they did with his character and how he kind of like the path that he kind of went on. I just didn't like it. I didn't like where it went. I didn't like what it did for the story. So that kind of like was playing in the back of my mind. Like, was it still a good book? Like, aside from those two things, yes. Like, it had all the puzzles, it had all the action, it had, you know, a little bit, like, very minimal romance in this one compared to what you've been seeing with the love triangle between Avery, Jameson, and Grayson in the first two books. There's very minimal of that. Also, the way that it ended, and what kind of happens to the inheritance, I get it. It makes sense. You figure that's probably what's going to happen. But it was just kind of like oh, okay. Yeah, I get it. It makes sense. But it didn't like, yes, like there was no like celebration really. It just kind of out. So, like I said, I'm surprised it made 4 stars, but when I did it on the ECAW file, it came up as like just over 4 stars. So I will say, like, for me, like, ragging on it as much as I've been, it is still a good series. It's one of the better series that I've read, one of the better books that I've read. It just, to me, I feel like out of all 3 books, The Inheritance Games is definitely the best out of the 3, and that's the first book in there. I know she's going to have kind of a spin-off series about the Hawthorne brothers. I don't know which brothers she's going to write about, but I'll read them because I do like the Hawthorne brothers. I like the Hawthorne boys. I like their personalities. So to see where they're going to go with just the Hawthorne brothers, if it's going to have like Avery in it again, now because that Avery story's kind of come to a close, I'm curious to see, like, is this going to be prequels? Is this going to be like sequels? This is kind of what they're doing now. Like, I don't know, but I am curious. So we will stay tuned and see when those are going to be released to continue with that. But another prequel, another pre-order that I got completed. And I think I need to take a little bit of a drink. That is good. That is good. It's, for those of you who are, you know, tea drinkers are wondering, this is, I think it's called Hallabong tea. It's a Korean tea. It's like the citrus fruit that they grow in Korea. It looks like a tangerine or an orange is like probably the closest thing I can think of, but it's like that, but they actually like dice up the rind and they put it in with like a bunch of honey. So all you do is you just like open the jar and you scoop out like a spoonful of it, and like, so it has like the rinds and pieces in there, which would normally like gross me out, but it's actually delicious. And I don't use too much because I don't like overly sweet things, so I only use like a teaspoon or so. It tastes like warm orange juice, but without all the tartness or bitterness of orange juice. It's just like a nice, evenly sweet, citrusy warmth, which feels fantastic when you aren't feeling well. So that basically brings us up to date with the start of Final Book Support Group, which is running this whole week. It's also Thanksgiving week for me, so it's kind of crazy here in my house because I'm still getting over being sick. My oldest son is still getting over being sick. Both my boys are home from school. We have family coming in a few days for Thanksgiving dinner, which I will be cooking. We are also watching the World Cup in my house. So it's just chaotic. Not a lot of reading is getting done, but I'm still trying to find time because there's still a lot of good books. One of which is another pre-order that came in. It was one I was waiting on, and I think I have the sleeve. So I have the sleeve for it here, and that is The Light in the Flame by Jennifer L. Armentrout, or as I've more recently come to know her as JLA, as she's called by other booktubers. So I like it. I'm going to use it now. I've been waiting on this. This is the sequel to the Shadow and Ember series, which is kind of like her series that coexists in the same world as Blood and Ash. And I've read the first 2 books of Blood and Ash, love them. Read Shadow and Ember, loved it. Reading this one, adoring it. So I take the jackets off of my hardcovers because I have kids and sometimes they may grab my book or it gets flung somewhere and I don't want the jackets to get ruined. So I take them off and they read them. But I need to show you this because, okay, in America, we don't get a lot of just like regular books that you buy at the store that are hardcover where they have like fancy stuff underneath the dust jacket. Usually you take the dust jacket off and it's just a plain cover. Very rarely do they have anything. But I took it off and this is underneath the dust jacket and I love it. Like, I told my husband that this just gave me big like Witcher vibes. I don't know why. And I'm here for it because I haven't read the books for the Witcher series. They're on my list, but I love the show. And this just made me like reminded of it. He said it reminded him of like Game of Thrones, like House Stark or something. But either way, it's awesome and I loved it. And then the other thing that I love is that at every chapter, she has this little like illustration of the castle with the draken flying around. So I kind of loved that. So I am almost done. If you can see, I really only have like this much left. That's why I'm including it. It's going to be a 5-star read. It's going to be a 5-star read. I am loving this. I'm going to try not to give too much away because like I said, this is the second book and I don't want to give like series information away. But this continues with the story of Serafina, who in the first book, she's tasked with trying to become the consort of the primal of death, like the god of death, become his consort and then like seduce him and kill him because she thinks it will save her land. And spoiler, but not kind of a spoiler, you find out that's not what's causing the danger to her land. And so the feelings that she starts to get for Nyktos, or Ash as he's called, the primal of death, she feels validated. But there was a spin cliffhanger towards the end of book 1 where you find out kind of who she is, and also the secrets that she's been keeping from Nyktos came out. And so it kind of starts in a very rocky place in this one. There's a lot of romantic tension in this, and not just romantic tension, there is naughty tension. This book, out of all of JLA's books that I've read, the first 2 books in the Blood and Ash series, The Shadow and Ember, this book is filled with the most naughtiest scenes out of like all of the books that she's done. Lots of naughty scenes in this, but well done. They're well done scenes. There's a lot, there is a part where you get to it where you're just so emotionally connected to the characters, and there's something that happens between Nyktos and Serafina that was just so gut-wrenching for me that once I got to that spot, there was no way I was going to sleep. I ended up like reading 100 more pages just to like find out what was going on and like calm myself down a little bit, because like I couldn't just read what happened and then go to bed. It was just a shock to my system. But I love the characters in it. I love the guards. There's a great scene in here where Sarah, or Serafina, but they go by Sarah, she's bored and she doesn't like sitting around, so she wants to train. So she goes out to where Nyktos is training with all his men, and she's got the little like guard on her that's like following her around, and she's like, I want to train, but he doesn't want to train because he's scared that if he scratches me, you're going to kill him. And Nyktos is like, well, that probably would happen. And so she's like, so the other thing is he might not want to train with me because he thinks that I'm a female and I'm weak. So I was thinking I could spar with you and then they'll see that I'm capable. And so Nyktos knows enough now that, he's not going to tell her no, like she's going to do it. And so they start sparring, and like she like cuts a piece of his hair off, and like they're kind of flirting as they're fighting. So they're like throwing these little witty comebacks and flirtatious comebacks back and forth. And all his men and warriors and soldiers, like they're either like kind of demigods or gods themselves, kind of like circle up and around them, and they're smiling and they're laughing because Sarah's giving Nyktos a run for his money, and then like he'll get at her. And then when it ends, the guards and everybody are like cheering for Sarah, and then finally like the other gods and the guards and everything are like, I'll spar with her because they're like, she's beautiful and I'll get in on that. And Nyctos is like now got his like kind of jealousy turned up to 11 here, and is like, yeah, no, the only person she's gonna be sparring with is me now, and you guys can go take a hike. So it was just a funny, delicious scene of like flirting and fighting and just wit, and I loved it. I loved it. Like, that is this book, is just the witty remarks, the flirtatiousness. They go head to head. Like, they're both strong, they're both smart, and they're both like willing to like ruin themselves for each other, basically. But it's like, it's so good. Like, it's just so good. I love this series. I really do. I probably love this series more than I love the Blood and Ash, if I'm gonna be honest, but I do love the Blood and Ash too. So I'm like, am I gonna continue reading it? Yes. Whenever the next book comes out, yes, I will. Same with Blood and Ash. I know that I have 2 more books to read in that series, and I cannot wait because I am becoming quite the junkie for Jennifer L. Child's books. Like, I am becoming a JLA junkie. Not ashamed of it. Loving it. Loving every minute. So, like I said, not done yet. I have less than 100 pages, so I'll probably either finish this tonight or like first thing in the morning. But I'm going to count it, and this one is being done. And even without putting it through call, I know, 5 stars. 5 stars. So, with that being said, because there's so much going on for this week, I don't know how much I'm going to finish. I'm looking over at like my TBR for this month, and there's a few books I don't think I'm gonna get to, just because all the other books I've been reading, the Infernal Devices books were chunky. The Light in the Flame is a chunky one. Like, I've had quite a few like 600 page books this month. Usually I'm like 300 to 400. So I might not get to them, but I'm okay with that, because one of the series that I know I was going to be doing was the Nora Roberts series, and that book just came out, and so I'm waiting for my mother-in-law to finish it anyway so that I can do the whole trilogy. So I might just push that to December. We'll see how it goes, what I get to. So I think for the rest of Final Book Support Group, once I'm finished with The Light and the Flame, which is basically a continuation station book for Final Book Support Group, because it's not going to be the final book, but it is in the series. I think once that's done, I'm going to finish up with The Dragon's Promise, which I don't know if that's the final book, like if it's a duology for the 6 Crimson Cranes, if it's a duology or if it is a series and it's going to be like just another book in the series. I will have to figure that out. But if I do finish that, I think that might be it for me for Final Book Support Group for this week, just because there's a lot going on. So I'm going to try to finish The Dragon's Promise, and then maybe towards the end of the month, try to tackle the Michael J. Fox biography. That might be all I get done for the rest of the month. We shall see. I will obviously give you a wrap up early next month to see if I did get to that, or if I did get to anything else as well. So with that being said, I hope that you guys are reading some wonderful things. If you're starting to get into your seasonal books, what are you reading? Are you like me? Are you celebrating Thanksgiving this month? Are you cooking yourself? Are you going to visit family and they're cooking and you just have to bring something, or bring yourself, the easy stuff? Let me know if you are going out and participating in the shopping that's going on towards the end of the week. Please stay safe. I know it can get a little crazy out there, plus it can be cold, so stay warm, stay healthy. And I just wish you guys the best. If you're celebrating Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy being with your families and your friends, and yeah, stay warm, stay safe. Let me know what you're reading, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.